What is up, y'all? So we're going into part two of my favorite sprinters. In part one, we covered the bottom nine plus the why I'm not a fan of Dressel's technique. You know, it's nothing personal with Dressel. It's just he has too many leakages, and it's not even that they're leakages because he makes them work. I think Gretchen has a lot of not. I think she has almost the exact same similar mistimings. But when you apply these, so if he took his technique right, and he was like, everybody, all eight and under developing athletes need to be swimming like this, you would have a lot of jacked up eight and unders. Okay, a lot of the inconsistent kicking that you'll see where kickers they'll take like one kick when they're sprinting or like kick, and then they have like a weird arm that goes and they overroll. A lot of it can be traced back to the wrong foot stuff that he does and that Gretchen does. And I say that because I took world-class technique and took it down to those levels and tried it. And, you know, you end up with those errors and we got to coach them out of it. I never was, gosh, I don't even want to say it like that. I wasn't dumb enough to do that stuff. But the timing of those kicks, those anchor kicks, you would see it mess up their ability to rotate when they connected the wrong foot. Or like in his case, when he would have the wrong foot and then he'd have a late correct foot. With little kids, especially ones who are kind of more sprint oriented with opposite hands, they would like be swimming like that. And it was like, okay, like we got to eliminate anchor kicks altogether up until a certain age and then actually teach them how to do it correctly. So, and then the good ones are an accident, right? So that's why I always teach distance per stroke and 6-beat kicks as a framework, as a skeleton, and then whatever their natural tendency is, they'll gravitate toward. But yeah, like allowing that to be the whatever. Let's get on. We need to pick on him. Just critiquing. You'll see if he's watching this video, you're gonna see the rest of what I'm talking about, the consistency and inconsistencies that he has, and then the correction. So my number 5. Let's talk about it. We had Manadou number 9, Soistrom number 8, Bousquet was number 7. Bernard was number 6. I'm a big fan of Bernard's swimming and Sjöström's shoulder-hip connection. The timing is perfect. And she has amazing punches into the water. But my number 5 is somebody that, if you, I'm not even going to say if you respect swimming, because I feel like she still kind of doesn't get the respect she deserves. And a lot of that's because she hasn't, made an Olympic team, and there's always other new hot swimmers coming into the fold who have better name recognition or whatever. So she is constantly overshadowed. But it's my number 5 is Madison Kennedy. Shout out to the Team Elite alum, big dog. Now, when I met Madison, she did like a lot of kooky things. She knows this, that she's wired a little differently. And I remember one day she was showing me some like dryland stuff. Because I think me and her kind of had a little bit of, we were allowed to use like a little bit of our own dryland stuff or add in some of our own. Hers was completely her own. But she was showing me this exercise that was meant to emphasize the connection that David was talking about. And based on what David was telling me, what she was showing me wasn't right. So I was like, this kind of doesn't make any sense, even as it's like own independent thing. And then I'm now going through the years and knowing how to connect the hips. Dave never taught me how to connect the hips. I was too many steps behind that step for him to teach it to me. But now I understand. I teach, like through that exercise she was showing me, I've incorporated that, guys, into my drill progression, or a large part of it, especially with my inside out swimming, and then with my walking. So if you ever seen any of the kids in the one-on-one reviews, where they're doing the walking and the sprint timing per step as they walk, the punch with the opposite foot, she was showing me a strength training drill with weights you could do with it. So shout out to Madison. And that's why she's on my number 5. Like that realization was like, oh, I can see how the step David wanted me to master, I needed that before I could get to this step. And then like kind of watching, the thing I really like about Madison's swimming is, it is, in my opinion, like the textbook recovery that you don't want people to swim with, right? And she's still been an elite swimmer. She kind of swims like a crawl, like up here instead of kind of this long under the shoulder recovery, even though she does get under her chin. And but underwater, she has amazing connection. So let's jump into those videos. We're going to start outside in. All right, so we're going Madison. She's here in the blue suit. Probably, yep, extra extroverted. Pep in her step. So let's get to this blue suit. And you're going to see that like crawl that I'm talking about. Ooh. Hold up, we got to get my face on here. Oh, wow, where is it? Why is that not on? Hold on, guys. We got to make sure my face is on here. Smart cam. Oh, wow, it turned itself off, huh? That's always interesting. There we go. All right, let's get back to it, guys. All right, so you can see how she doesn't really pop up like most swimmers do. You know, we got a little shoulder drag, but drops in a little bicep drag. But other than that, like, look at that. Woo! Look at that right hand. Bicep drag, but then just nothing. So, like, that's something that really is really cool about her stroke is, like, it is not, like, you'd expect someone right here to finish really out the back. And she kind of cheats, which you shouldn't be doing as a sprinter, right? She's plowing through with her biceps and then entering with a straight arm with the fingertips down. But she, like, I hate this stroke, but she makes it work. And that's something that's, like, you got to respect that. Hard-headedness, whatever you want to call it, but you got to respect it. All right, great shoulder drive. Boom, boom, boom. Connecting through the hips. You can see it, like, just like Sjöström, great hip timing, and which is natural, right? Because she's the one who showed me that drill. You can see the hips and the shoulders move together. Boom, boom. Like, it's just amazing freestyler. My number 5 for show. All right, let's move to the next video. All right, so we got her in the blue right here, obviously. I believe she went to Rutgers and then transferred to Cal. So swim at cap right here. All right, and quick off the block. Like, doesn't do, we'll see it better when we look at her Olympic trial start, but she doesn't use her arms like at all. All right, let's look. All right, it's just all hands. Great line, hits the water first, kind of like Jimmy would do. One hole, right? You can see we got 2s up here, 2 splashes. Simone, Manuel, 2 splashes. Madison, 1 splash. Amazing. All right, just does a lot of things right. Right, and you can see that annoying crawl that I hate. I used to swim like that. That's probably the most of the reason why I hate it. Just that annoying, just get the elbows going. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, one of my favorite swimmers. And then you could close. Like, you know, to do that, you got to be making a lot of great power underwater. To me, I think it reminds me of like an Anthony Ervin. Like Anthony Ervin's stroke obviously has a recovery. Like, if you're just watching it, that looks like it should work. But then, like, you look at his size and his awful start, and you're like, that should not work. And it does. So, nothing but respect. And then we have her Olympic trials. So, Madison is right here, guys. Black suit, middle of the pool. Ooh, great. Look at that off her block. I know we're looking at freestyle, but look at that when she goes to take her mark, how you can see her whole back just engage. Right? Just pull it all in. So when she squeezes, if she squeezes, her body goes. Yeah, nice. Nice. Comes up even with everybody. I think and she's hard-headed, so that needs to be said, but I think if she just finished her stroke just a little bit longer out the back, that's game time. Because I think she went to 3 trials in a row and barely missed. My bad, I got her all out of whack up here. Let's run that back real quick, guys. Barely missed, but I want to think like a combined few tenths of a second is what she's missed making teams by. So that's her just south of the purple suit, which is white. So I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, just no splash, just amazing. Swimming that fast, you got to be able to pull, so the connection is nice. What's Sir off say? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. All right, now let's see. We should have some slow-mo action. Let's see. All right, yeah, they talk about Madison. Back-to-back third places, which you got to think about it, right? She's almost a double 50 free Olympic medalist. Right, great start. Comes up with the field just a beast of a swimmer. Great connection underwater. Gotta love it. Great body line hitting the water. And I think there's a little clip of her swimming into the finish underwater, where we can see just a little bit of her connection. So that's her right here right there. So we can see some of the things that I'm always talking about. Let's see how far back can we go. Okay, right here. So we have, look at that connection. Amazing. She's a boss. At halfway, we have the opposite leg, and then she connects to the same side leg. Digs into the catch. In the middle, same side leg. Digs into the catch. You know what? So she has a little bit of a mistiming, but her kick is so fast that she almost gets a delayed butterfly kick. So that's really cool. So that may be some of the reason why she's getting away with like I said, I don't like her recovery. She kind of gets a little double kick on one foot, right? Look. So this should be exiting. She kicks it out right there. Now it's her right foot should be down kicking right now. But her left foot down kicks. She's still in her catch. She's out front. And then her right leg finally down kicks, but she's still in front of her pull. Hand comes to even. She's in the middle, rotating right there. So that's right. And then she connects with the anchor correctly, but she's already in her catch with the wrong foot, and then connects with the right. That's awesome. You see, it's the unique things like that. You know what? I'm not surprised that she's the one getting away with this awkwardness. So, like I said, she's my number 5. And she has the hip connection, shoulder connection, amazing. Shout out to Madison. All right, guys. So the next swimmer on my list, we have Cesar Cielo. Now, we're going to have some videos that y'all ain't seen. This is straight from the homies at USA Swimming. Back when I was in college, they sent me the videos over right away after I made World Champ trials. I think the next week, I didn't qualify for Pan Ams, but the next week was Pan Am Games, and Cesar and Nathan swam, and I think Nathan out-touched him. This is the year after Cesar Cielo broke the world record, right? So kind of an important statement swim. But yeah, let's jump into it. So first thing we're looking at, like I said, Cielo is my number 4. All right, we've got Cesar Cielo. This is my favorite swimmer. We got his world record. Like I said, my favorite swimmer. When I was getting into swimming, I didn't really track swimming at all. Didn't watch it at all. When I was in school, went to Auburn, didn't know anybody. Didn't take a trip to Cal because I didn't know they were as good as they were went to UT, didn't know that they were as good as, or that the swimmers were as good. Like I met Ricky. I ran into him in the hallway. He had a club foot. I think he hurt his foot, and I didn't know who he was. I remember Eddie was like, "This is Ricky Behrens." Like, being there, I know you don't call Ricky by his first and last name, right? But, he's like, "This is Ricky Behrens." I'm just like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" This is a short dude. He's like 6'2", but that's short to me. With a goofy smile. Shout out to you, Ricky. This is what I was thinking back then when I didn't know anything about swimming. So, 2009 was the year I graduated, so I'm like getting to watch the stuff, and I'm like, oh, this guy is all the way live. Live is the same as lit, guys, but whatever. Y'all know about that. Y'all keep trying to reinvent the wheel so y'all can seem cool for saying some stuff that people already said. But anyway, like even right there, you can see, let's see if we got clean breakouts, unlike we got with Dressel. Now we do got a little too shallow of a breakout right there. Let's see, boom. Good down kick, good middle kick, good exit. So yeah, we got the fundamentals. Now, Cesar Cielo has great fundamentals underwater. Just not, see, this is tricky. My top 5 is very tricky. Madison to me is a clear-cut 5, and there's a gap between the top maybe 2 to 3, and you can really mix around 1, 2 to 3, and 4 for me. Cesar has great underwater mechanics. Right, we got the down kick on the catch. We got the opposite foot, like then the aggression through that middle, like just like Elaine Bernard. Boom, just the whole body. Hips a little delay, but I think it's kind of a good delay because it looks almost like a chain or like a whiplash. Kind of the same way like how in baseball it's inverted. Well, they'll go hip and then they use that to bring the ball around. He's almost here and then letting that snap the hip in after. So this is very cool. There's the deep hand that I'm talking about. We got the inverted wrist, so he's keeping water pressure on that palm. If you swim with paddles and your paddles always come off, it's because you're not inverting your wrist and finishing through, right? And a water flick is not a flick. It's the pressure on that inverted wrist. And then when your hand clears the water, it just naturally flicks on its own, right? I'm not trying to flick it. It just returns to neutral. God, my nose itches. Allergies going crazy. But yeah, just like, I love watching Cesar swim. Middle, connects, boom, connects with our exit. Down kick on the catch. Like, it's just, and this is something I want you guys to recognize. Look at his hands. All right, I remember Nathan Adrian, he swims with the blade side of this flat, like that. And I was always thinking, like, should the palm be flat or should the blade side be flat? And if you look at Dressel, and I think, let's just say Dressel, he goes here when he starts his pull. These guys all are backhand blade side flat, which makes their palm almost go backwards past 180. And that's what allows them to create that bouncing effect because the surface area of their arm is pointing downwards. So there's some inside trading for you. And here's another thing, right? We don't see opposite hands. He is overlapped, right? So it's like the details like this you watch, and this is, and we have the mechanics. I know people be hating on Brett Hawk, but I believe at this point Brett had taken over his training or like was his sprint coach. Dave put him there. Obviously, Dave coached Brett. So the teachings continue, but man, it's just like you see this stuff, and it's like, oh, of course these guys are elite. And this is why David is the man, guys. Shout out to David Marsh. People be hating on his ways. And I watched him get in an argument with another well-respected coach one time on an IG Live, like 2 teenagers. It's kind of funny, or 2 streamers. But David's right. There's just too many fast swimmers and too many sprint coaches who are his in his coaching tree. Mike Bottom, Dave Durden, Brett Hawk, Dax Hill, who just have a track record for producing elite sprinters. Anthony Ervin, Dewey Jagania are both Cowboys under Mike Bottom, who was under David Marsh, right? And even during the down days of Auburn when Brett was there, they were still winning 50 free relays, still having great 100 freestylers, still winning the 50 free. So sprint free under David Marsh's coaching philosophy lives on. right? We see the connection, boom, boom with the catch. Like, it's just magical, surgical watching some of these guys swim. Man, this video might take too long. I hope it doesn't. Stuff makes you want to come out of retirement for real, for real. All right, so let's just jump ahead to we have some more underwater swimming to watch. Look at this, just swag. Mount the lane line, scream, let everybody know this is yo shit. And then this is my favorite part right here. Watch this. Just throw it behind you. You just take it off and just throw it behind you. I'm just spitting all over the place. Like, it's just swagged up. It's just swagged up. And there's Layton Bernard too, right? My number 6. That's another thing. We go back and look at this. How many of these guys are in my top? David Walters is my guy, American record holder. I trained with David when I was at UT. But yeah, we got Cesar, Bernard, Bousquet, Brent Hayden. Sorry, Brent. Ferns, gold medalist in the South African relay that beat Team USA. One of the few, I think maybe the only loss we have. But one of 2 losses we have. Just straight G's. G's. And you know Bernard definitely got some tips from Bousquet. You know it. Like, first man to go under 19 also as your countryman. You going to share some stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get to this one. So, we have the underwater camera. I don't know if you can hear this. Right, so that is the announcer at Pan Pacs. This is in Irvine, California. So we got Cesar Cielo here in the gold cap. And we see a lot of these same things, right? Middle. Kicking the hand out right there with the exit. We got the opposite hand connection. And the thing is, like, when you're doing this stuff correctly, guys, when you come across your body, that's the hand on the surface. After that, they're extending under the chin, which makes it look like it's going down, but it's not. And this is why you need somebody like me to help you get your technique right. So jump into the Rakely Technique Solutions today. Wow, of course I would do something disgusting. Jump into the Rakely Technique Solutions today. But yeah, just like amazing, you know. Boom, just look at the digs on time. Boom. Down kick with the catch. Opposite foot in the middle. Down kick with the exit. Down kick on the catch. Opposite foot in the middle. Kick the hand out. Like, it's just awesome to see this stuff. All right. So, that's my number 4. We have my number 3, Mr. Nathan Adrian. So Nathan Adrian, to me, is the perfect example of a sprint freestyler. He does everything right. In my honorable mentions, when we get there, there's another swimmer who does everything right except for the power piece. Nathan Adrian does the power piece right. And still, like, he has his, his mistakes, but it's just like a masterful stroke to watch. He's in the yellow cap there at the bottom. And the thing I like that's really cool is look at where he finishes, how far behind, since it's off to the side, how open that is. And then it's all downhill from here. And he goes through his head. So that means the arm has to be swinging around the side, which tells you a lot about how you need to be swimming freestyle. Boom. Up high, down, it's all downhill. Look at his elbow and his hand. Right? It opens up. And then it's boom. Opens up, boom, and then he's just driving down underneath that chin line like we saw with Cesar Cielo and like we're going to see in the underwater video. And it's just awesome to watch him swim. Like, look at that finish, into the drive, into the twist out the back. Oh! Just makes you want to turn up. And then just pieces on everybody this second 50. Just look at his, like, release point. Like that's his release point. It's right there. It's not the water. It's that point. He's ripping up to the sky, which takes us into inside out swimming. And with Manadoo, how we talk about squeezing those shoulder blades together. There's a specific time when you're supposed to be doing that, and you can just see him connect the punch with that inside out and finishing up high and just driving it downhill. Awesome. I love watching Nathan swim. He's my textbook freestyle. Like if I'm ever teaching kids freestyle, we look at Nathan Adrian. That's who we go after. So, all right, we can kind of see underwater now. Nathan's here in the black cap. We can kind of see where his entry point is, right? So we know that right here he's exiting. He's up high. We have the anchor kick on the same side leg. That's good. Opposite foot as he's rotating the flat, and then we know he's all downhill. He's not reaching forward and then entering. It's downhill. And that allows him to snap through his shoulders, connect through his back, and rip that water out through his twist. And the thing is, like I said, he's so textbook down to the point of his wrist inversion, his release point coming downhill but around so you can drive through the shoulders, the posture, the head position, the early breathing, the exiting the early breathing, which to me, he is the creator of, to me. I think he is straight up the creator because he definitely is the first one I've heard talk about the mask you can breathe in underwater. I remember as a kid, you do the thing where you're swimming into your turn and you finish your strokes and you breathe and then you breathe and pull it back under. That pulling it back under pulls that inhale with you into the water. And I don't know if y'all remember as a kid, like looking at the wall and still breathing in, and it was just got this like weird, like, Nathan brought that into freestyle swimming. But yeah, so if somebody else did, sorry, I ain't seen that video. He gets the credit for me, right? And it's just all downhill. You can tell he's starting to kind of lose it. I think a lot of Nathan's having to retire is more so his technique getting a little wild on him and some athletic issues, but he's starting to reach more forward instead of down. But that's right there. That's it. Drive, like amazing stroke. Textbook. And, whoops. Real quick, I want to show y'all the hands thing. Right, so he reaches, look at his hand. You can still see, so from the top of his stroke, watch how far down through his pull we can still see some area of his surface area, which means it's facing, if I'm pushing, right, you can see my hand, 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 you can see my hand. You can no longer see the surface area of my hand. So look at how long we can see the surface area of his palm. Palm, 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 right there. So about the front third of his catch, there's still some amount of surface area exerting downwards force. Right, and then once he gets there, now it's, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to give away. You know what? No, we're on the internet. Maybe my generosity will make you want to go join the Rakely Technique Solutions. You're finishing deep to the hip. Once you create that bounce in that solid water, and now you're just ripping it deep by the legs through that shoulder. Just look at that. Just ripping it through the shoulders and the back. Bounce, rip it up to the sky, right? That's why he has that high release point, because he's going up to the sky, but because of the posture, that up to the sky is backwards, right? So it's just like watching, like Nathan's the man. Shout out to you, Nathan Adrian. Shout out to you, Nathan Adrian. Shout out to you. By far, like my favorite freestyler to watch. And you know something that's crazy? I did put him in here. He's my favorite freestyler to watch. I think you can get everything you need to know about freestyle from analyzing Nathan Adrian's stroke technique. Everything that's in our Rakely Technique Solutions, you can find it present and executed and masterfully and perfectly without error by Nathan Adrian. 100%. Awesome swimmer. All right, so this is where it gets, like I said, my top 4 can be kind of interchangeable based on how I'm feeling that day. My number 2, this is the first video that I got from USA Swimming. We're just going with a small clip of it, and it's Eamon Sullivan. I didn't know at the time he was a straight arm freestyler. I just was watching his symmetry And I look back at it, and there's so many things I realize now that I missed watching his video. You know, like when we were, you know, if we're just looking at it with my 18-year-old mind, we see the hands, we see the pull, we see the hand come in, the arms are almost opposite. We see that symmetry. So that's like, this is like the end of my observations watching him, just like not really know what I'm looking at, but knowing I'm looking at something and just trying to program whatever it is I'm looking at. The extension, right? Now I come back and I look at it now, and once again, Australian guy, Australian record holder and world record holder in the 50 and the 100. So he's got that double crown. And when we go back now with what we know about everything, right? We can look at his palm. We can see his palm. We can see his palm. We can see his palm. We can't about right there. So about a third through the stroke. So we got the same principles we see in Cielo and in Nathan Adrian, right? He's about in his shoulder line. We're going to get a little bit of discrepancy because he's breathing. But then he makes sure he's right back in his shoulder line, right? We have that opposite. We have the same side kick on his anchor or on his catch right there. We have the opposite foot as he shifts through flat and is in the middle of his pull. And then we have that opposite foot connection through his anchor kick as he exits. Then we have that same side kick on the anchor on his catch. Opposite foot through the middle as you return to flat right there with the twist. Pulling down that shoulder line. Opposite hand, opposite foot, kicks the hand out. So you watching this video now, right? We see all the things, right? And think for the arm and the elbow to almost be in his shoulder line, it has to be almost straight, right? And now we know it's going to be bent a little bit, and that's why we can see his elbow jolting out to the side, because if you put your elbow on top, right, it has to go out, like even at its most longest length, which is our high elbow catch, right? Your shoulder's got to push out of its socket, even though I'm squared forward, right? That's going to naturally make that shoulder snap. And then I'm turning my elbow on top, thumb down, which is why my fly recovery, I'm always telling people get their thumb down, because this is what we're pulling with. And this is why I don't like as much as Gretchen does do right, there's a lot I think that based on if you would teach it to a little kid, she does wrong, which is she comes out with that thumb. You do that with a little kid, they're going to be dragging a ton of water. It's an ugly thing to watch go down. But nonetheless, right, we're turning it, and then the wrist needs to go opposite, right? And that's that long arching catch where we can make sure we're over that barrel, and then you're squeezing down that shoulder line. And as you roll, it stays in the shoulder line, but the hand's got to kind of steer over. And that steering over is where, like with Cielo, we have this, look, right, where my hand is over here. But as I twist through, that hand that goes over here stays in my shoulder line, right? But flat, you see where my hand is? But I got to bring it across while I'm on my side. So now when I push through my shoulder, and I can pop right into it, right? So like you put all those details together, and then with the kick, and then making sure the hip aligns with the right time, like these guys are elite. And I just love this video because, like I said, this was the first video I had, so it definitely has sentimental value. This is when I found out how fast this guy was. I think he was, definitely with a cheat suit, but he was like 47.1, I think. And I don't know what his 50 was. I think he was 21.4 or 21. He was 21.2. And he's a little guy, I'm pretty sure. 6 foot, maybe 5'11", maybe 6'1". Not a tall guy. But man, boy could move. Symmetrical. That's what I remember. So symmetrical. So symmetrical. Beautiful stroke. And now we arrive at my number one. Here's the thing about my number one. I would say my real order, because I didn't know about this swimmer. I knew of this guy for racial reasons, right? Barely. But like I said, I matured as a swimmer, right? As a freshman, that's when I started watching film and discovering these people: Nathan Adrian, Eamon Sullivan, Cesar Cielo. Those are like my big three guys I watched. And then later you find out about, because I think Anthony Ervin, that's what we're about to watch, he retired when I was swimming, and there wasn't a whole lot of video on him underwater that I could get a hold of or that was sent to me, right? They were sending me Nathan videos over Anthony Ervin. You want to see something crazy? So all the video databases that I have, that y'all have seen, y'all ain't even see the best stuff I got. Where is it? The best stuff I have, so Team Elite, don't get me mad at me, is on here. This is the best swimming video on earth in here. And I don't know if y'all remember this stuff, but it's like the Oculus stuff. They had like the visor. I was trying to figure out a way to get into their memory bank so I could get it out. But yeah, the videos that are in here, man, if y'all saw this stuff, and these like world-class swimmers, right? Everything that's in my course is verified by everything in there. To the point, because a lot of the stuff, like when these guys are going all out, you can't really see it because of the water pressure, but in those videos, you can see it. Like I have this video of Nathan Adrian, and it looks like he's standing up, going like, he's literally going through the water like this. Like it's... So if somebody knows how to get files off that, holler at me, because I need those. I need those. You can't find... Everything that's on there is not on the internet. None of it is. That's where I taught myself how to do Nathan Adrian's early breathing, is because of what's on there. Gold mine. But anyway. So, like I said, I didn't have any videos on Anthony Ervin, and then afterwards I find out about him, and then he makes his comeback, and it's like, man, this guy keeps almost winning, and he has like the worst start I've ever seen. And it's like, oh damn, like he's actually the truth. Anthony AE is the truth, right? To give people that type of lead, just be like he's swimming against little kids at a camp and then dives in late and runs them down, right? Like that's the type of timing he's on. Right, you can already see he's coming up at this dude at Nathan's hip. And the thing I love about watching Anthony is just like his connections. He's not the biggest guy. I would guess in the weight room, he's not the strongest guy. I only had a short overlap with him by a few days. He came and visited us one time for about a week. And then it was like a peppered in when he'd have like a local meet or something like that. Probably a speaking and engagement. But man, like look at those no splashes. He's the man. He is the man. And if you watch, you can see that when he connects, his whole body just like jumps. Like he's awesome. Like I said, I'd say my real top three would be Nathan, Eamon, and Cesar. And you could, rearrange them based on my hormones. But that's how much I respect Anthony and his stroke and what he's done. And like just watching him swim and just seeing the advantage he gives people, like, and still smokes them. You can't not have him as your number one. Even if he's not your favorite, even if you have three guys that you learned swimming from, he's that much of a G. Shout out to Anthony Ervin. He's the HNIC, if you know what I'm saying. Like just no splash. Oh yeah, we're on that one. And just we're gonna run the whole race. Just watch him as he like jumps through the water at certain connections. It's that left arm, I think, is it? No, it's both, but it's definitely his left arm. Like, just a G. We gotta run it back. Just the man. Excuse me. The pop-up might be why, a little bit of why. Just look at that. Surge. Surge, 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 surge. I guess he might have a little deceleration on that second surge. Oh, did you just see that one? Like, look about right. It's somewhere in here. It's one of these next 3 or 4 strokes. And you just watch him just like. All right, you gotta watch more of them. I lost the jump. Jump. There it is. Oh, those 3 strokes right there. I think some of them maybe in the camera angle too. Just a G. Just a G. All right, now he is this swimmer right here. We're going to blow this up a little bit, and then we'll get to the honorable mentions. So that's him right there. All right, and you see a lot of the same great connections that we want. Oh, man, I got to move this up a little bit more or blow it up more. Let me blow it up more. I think that's a better answer. All right, so that's him right here. This guy. All right, so let's look and see what we got going. Opposite foot in the middle, same side, or kicks the hand out. Oh, wow, that's interesting. So you know what? I've thought about this. Because normally you'll kick with the opposite leg in the middle, right? Right there. And I've always wondered that if you want to pull with your rotation, it would make more sense to try and connect more of it like through the middle, through the back half, right? So normally, if we run it back here, right, you're on your side, on your side, on your side, on your side, on your side. You connect here with the same side foot as you return to flat. But it looks like he connects more instead of like halfway. When he gets the flat, he's here, even though he's doing a sprint timing. So he's getting like the back 3/4 through his rotation. And the reason why I say that is because, remember, most people, when they take this anchor kick to exit, it's definitely deeper. Oh, in the worst case, like I don't remember who it was, hand, but definitely Dressel's, I think it was Bruno Fratis, how their hand is almost exiting at the same time. But you can almost see the blur of his hand right here. Wow. Right there. And that's a long way out the back of the stroke, right? So here he's halfway, he's still snapping through, and then he's got that much left. Whereas most people have only like maybe a foot. He's got maybe 2 feet through the back third of his, back third time-wise of his exit. That could be a huge advantage. So we got down kick through the middle, connect. Yeah, see? You see what I'm talking about? So while you watch film, guys, some of this stuff, I'm experiencing it for the first time with you guys. But like, success leaves clues, guys, if you go and study. Man, what a G. And the thing is, right, you look at this and you just see opposite hands, but really it's not, right? You see the timing. Here he's halfway, but he extends, he extends, he extends, he extends, he extends, he extends. And that extending is just downhill, and then he's squeezing and going. But it doesn't look like that. And this is the mistake that a lot of sprinters make, is that what they are looking at is not what's going on, guys. That windmill shit that y'all are doing is not the way. It is not hot. It is not popping. You are messing up. And I'm trying to lead you to the promised land. I'm like Moses over here saying, I promise you I will part the Red Sea, and y'all tripping. Divine coronation, and y'all tripping. Come on now. Anyway, let's get to these honorable mentions and get up out of here. All right, so my first honorable mention goes to Kristian Gkolomeev. Now, obviously, people are out there tripping. Look, I like watching technique, right? You can say, people say Cielo cheated. Still amazing technique. People say Sun cheated. I think he did too. Amazing technique, though. You can't doubt the fact that his stroke rate is 2 seconds, which means he's probably maxing out every pull he takes, has a long refractory, aka recovery phase, and gets to take the longest breaths. He takes 1.5 second breaths. You ain't gonna beat a guy who's pulling as hard as they can and getting to inhale for 1.5 seconds. Okay? But he's the perfect freestyle. So I said Nathan, obviously Anthony, no splash, but Kristian is the cleanest. Like I said that Nathan, you can find everything textbook. Kristian, same thing, except for the power stuff, which is an interesting point. So watching Kristian swim, right? He's in the Alabama cap. Oh, I gotta fix this. Dang it. All right, so he's here in the Alabama white cap. And like, just watch this, guys. Like I talk about the clean. Look at that first stroke. Oh, just make you put on a stank face. No water comes forward, so you know it's a clean exit. And then just look at this. Little bicep drag, but look, just look at his arm. as it goes through the water, and his hand and his elbow and his forearm. Just look at it. Oh my God. This is my favorite swimmer. Like, as far as just watching, like, the finesse of a stroke done perfectly, he makes no mistakes. Now, here's the thing. The times he was going, even though he has a terrible dolphin kick and walls, I've always looked at his stroke and been like, because that's like David says, the faster you go, the more you have to do right, which faster is usually a propulsive thing, right? And the way that he cuts through the water, he should be going way faster than what he does, unless he's not making power. That's been my theory since I started watching him swim. So this would have been maybe like 2014 or 15? No, 14, because it was at his first NCAAs. We also have that video we're going to show, was at UT, and it was the year after I graduated. So, yeah, like watching him swim and then watching this video of him win the 100 free, it's just like, for him to make no mistakes as far as the finesse side, negative propulsion, obviously his biceps drag a little bit, but the no splash, meaning that it's hand, elbow, shoulder clean through the same hole, almost to the point where the head is following through whatever vertical splash, but he's not even making a splash. And his pull timing is perfect because you have to have the placement. So I always say, like, Kristian has like the perfect skeleton with the meat suit on. The muscle and the tendons and the fascia, like that ain't there. And like even this enhanced game stuff, I think as a learning experience, because I seen a video of him swimming underwater that confirmed that he's not making power. He swims like a distance swimmer. He catches out here. He doesn't. Oh man, I'm getting a little sweaty. I'm getting hyped talking about this. He doesn't catch it here in his shoulder line like the Eamon Sullivan video. He catches out here like a distance swimmer. But it just shows you that even with whatever he's on, it definitely increases power, but it doesn't matter because his max power is not being utilized. So it just shows you how fast you can go. We're not talking about the drug. We're talking about just increasing power, swimming through the water. You can go just by being clean. Because it's like he should have always been, I think 21.7 is his fastest time. He swims like a 21.0 guy. Just no power. And he swims very flat. That was another thing that told me he didn't make a lot of power. But anyway, like I love watching him swim, dude. Like, oh, it's just, everything he does is just so, ooh. Yo, look at this. I didn't know I could do this. So I have OBS, right? Curse y'all for not telling me this. I can go up, but I can't click. That means I can't be clicked on. That's why I haven't made that mistake before. I have to be clicked over. Anyway, let's do it. So we're watching him, and it's just, oh, it's got to boot up. Oops, sorry guys. Like just look at his stroke in the Alabama cap. Like clean all the way over, and then just crashes down, boom, right through down his ear. Oh my God. Just like, he makes no mistakes. And this is what I'm saying, like, to go that fast with no mistakes, swimming flat, it's got to be a power issue. Or to not be going faster than that with no mistakes. Like, I think he went like 21.4 or something, 21.5, which Nathan was going 21.0. Like, oh man. Beautiful stroke. Look at that. Just, oh. Look at that hand. Look at that crash. Oof. And this is something else I talk about in Rakely. If you look at his elbow, and then I always say you want to attack this inside elbow like you're hyperextending it through the surface, because that elbow going to the surface under the chin is going to make the hand go forward. And if you remember with some of the straight arm freestyle people who were coming in like this, they would hit, but with their fingers down, and it would make a splash, but no splash. Like they would have the whitewater entry with no up splash. So I think even with a bent recovery, you still want to make sure that you're driving through that elbow joint first. And that's what creates that no splash. I noticed this both when I was at UT, not really understanding this stuff, but learning like what it looked like, and then like teaching it. And then once I learned the actual stuff, when I went to like the application of how to make power, it was like, oh, you know, the gears start connecting now. They're always turning. But man, just such a clean swimmer, dude. Get paid, young man, get paid. Get paid, young player, get paid. Like, God. Did he even dolphin kick, or did he just go straight to, he took one and then flutter kicked? And just look at like, it's like the amount of like, it's a wild stroke, which is good. It's controlled wildness, and he's snapping through his shoulders, and it's just like, for all the stuff he's doing, right? He should be in, from a what should be making power, like the connecting of the hips and the shoulders. He doesn't bounce, but he connected through. It's like he should be going 40-point mid, right? So it's like, what's like, look at, oh my God. Sorry guys, I'm wilding, but just look at his arms. No splash. Look at he's snapping through his shoulders. No splash. Just clean freestyle. That's it. Just, well, I guess we can't say, no pun intended. But dude, amazing. I love watching him swim. I love his freestyle. The finesse game is A1. All right, so the last and final, my big dog, straight out of Texas, straight out of San Antonio Churchill High School. My dog, my training buddy, my only lone year in sprint group, Ernesto Fiegen. That's his middle name. So I'm not gonna say that, but I be calling him Ernesto sometimes. Back when we swam. So Jimmy swims super on that incline, right? And I always remember thinking like, man, it looks like he's standing up. And like when you watch him swim, like you can see how high his head position is, right? Like look at his breakouts. Just up on the surface. And I remember like from as a fan or a spectator, you can see his goggles and like over that wave, and then he just like bounces and then he's riding it. Like it's really awesome to watch. But then you can see great punching too. Look at that connection. And, you know, I don't think he was ever told to pinch his shoulder blades together, but because of his posture, when he connects, it naturally goes back. Whereas if you're flat, right, there's no backwards rotation connection because you're here instead of trying to go here. All right, so, you know, I look back at it now, and if I had known what I was looking at, I would have been right there with him, you know, going 18, whatever. But the uprightness of his stroke, you know, you can see where his chest and back relative to his hips are. You know, crashing into that wave. I remember sometimes it looked like he was reaching into his, like, into the wave with his hand. You know, bicep drag for sure, and arm splash, which I think this is just like, you can see like why Texas has never had like great elite sprinters, right? Because we don't coach our athletes out of these bad habits where you need a world-beating talent like Jimmy to compete. But you can still see how, even though we got some forward splash, you can see that verticalness in some of those splashes at the same time. All right, so, and that's just natural. Like I'm sure some people taught him that, but I'm pretty sure most of it's natural. You know, 19-0. So, funny story about Jimmy. Two things that made me realize the posture stuff, right? And why I'm such a hardcore, like, absolutist on it. At World University Games, Jimmy won the 100 free, like, smoked everybody. Wasn't close. And in the last, like, 5 yards, so the flag's in, he, like, died hard. And I'll never forget that it looked like he was moving to the water like this. Like, it looked like he was standing up. Because it showed, like, everything was underwater here. But it was still coming up like this. And I just remember thinking, like, man, it looked like he was walking on the bottom of the pool and trying to pull himself. Like, that's what it looked like. And I just remember being like, that's obviously it's an over exaggeration caused by fatigue because his kick was drowning too, so that's why it looked like that. But it always sat with me. I was like, the fastest guy that I know, right, the national high school record holder, the guy to really get going, 19 mid and faster popping, 43.0 and faster popping out of high school, swims like he's standing up straight. It just always stuck with me. So I started coaching. Shout out to Coach Doug Russell. I think he's in California now, but he used to be here. Julian Koch, shout out to her. If y'all don't know, Julian swam under Doug Russell under ATAC. And Doug had all of his kids swimming like Jimmy, but like Jimmy on like hyper exaggerations. I'm talking about their girls were like elite, like 23.5, 50 freestylers, 48.9, 200 freestylers, and obviously Julian making trials at like 13, right? But I remember they swam like with such a posture that if they were flat, their feet were splashing, so there was some flatness. But they were bent so far back that their back, like the X of the girl's suit, was facing backwards. And I remember it looked like they were like looking into the bow wave, and then they were swimming like this, like into the bow wave, and just killing everybody, no matter the distance. Julian in the 400. I forget the girl's name. She went to A&M. She was kind of like their like marketed swimmer. At the time before Julian, because Julian was still like a little kid, and even though she was swimming a lot faster, like the other girl was like fast for her age, and she was older, right? And then they had a sprint freestyler a few years younger who ended up going like 23.5 at tags, 14-year-old, still in middle school, but strong girl. But yeah, I just remember them like reaching into the bow wave, like the front side of it, not over it and down like Jimmy, like into it, like in front of, like bent back, looking like this, and into the bow wave. Like I swear to God, like I look crazy. That's what they looked like. I was like, this is not right. And they were just destroying every girl. It was the craziest shit I ever seen. And it's like, I remember watching, I think it was Abigail something. No, it wasn't Abigail. What was her name? It's not gonna come to me, but I think it may have been Abigail. God, that's gonna haunt me. But she swam at A&M. But I just remember seeing that, and it just reminded me of Jimmy standing up, and I was like, "That's it. That's why he was going so fast." I didn't know there was a posture thing, but once I started teaching the sprint stuff to them, some of the kids I was working with. Especially the inside-out swimming, where you have to feel like you're almost standing up to be able to connect and get everything going forward, which when you lay flat, we have Nathan Adrian. This is why I say you can see everything Nathan Adrian does in my stuff. To learn the inside-out swimming, you have to stand up to make sure that you're connecting and it's not wide because you don't want to be out here, but it's staying deep. And this is why I say all those elite sprinters have deep finishes. You have to make sure you're deep enough that when you connect through the shoulders or through your posture and your core, that the hand, like if you slide wide like Kristian does, you're going to end up pushing wide, right? Kristian doesn't connect, but if he was. And he kind of pulls it in at the end. So you have to make sure, and this is where Eamon Sullivan, right, does this right. Like everybody does it right except for Kristian, really. And Jimmy, because Jimmy just was never taught it. But once you get deep, you're trying to rip through your hips, like you're trying to close the space to your leg, but then you're using your rotation to almost like play keep away or catch up. And then so your core ends up, right, you're trying to close this space, your body's not letting you, so you're in an isometric hold. And then you're connected, you're not even using really your arm to reach, you're using literally your core. Like one of the drills that the kids do to learn inside-out swimming is they put their legs and feet are tied together pretty much. We use like po' boys, but think about them tied together and they streamline, and they literally have to use their core to keep their shoulders, hips, and feet aligned. So there's none of this where your shoulders go and your hips don't go. There's no using your head. There's no wiggling. It's all just core, like flexing your core and trying to rip it through. So the inside out swimming, like you have to make sure it's deep so you can connect and punch through. And it just like, I saw it and it was like all of it just like clicked. Like, it all clicked. And I went to practice at UT the next day. This was like June. It was right before national championships, and I got sick, and that's the end of my career. But I remember the week before I got sick, I went to practice, and I put it together. And I've told this to people before. When I did it right with the bouncing and then the connection, I didn't know the bouncing yet. So this was pretty much just like kind of catching water and then connecting inside out. I did it and I was like, this is it. This is what Dave was trying to teach me. I didn't know the bouncing yet. He tried to teach me that, but I messed that up. Or I kind of accidentally ended up getting into it because I'd end up leaning back, right? And God, I'm getting pumped. I'm sweating so much. Memory lane. I remember I was like, oh, okay, well, I want to see how much pressure I can put on this before my arms give out, right? So my heart rate's like not beating hard, but I can feel my muscles, like it feels like I'm lifting, which means I'm applying my lifting strength. The same muscles that I'm working out in lifts, I'm applying into the pool now. So I put some big paddles, big red paddles on. I got big hands, bigger paddles to like really exacerbate the system. And this is why I talk about how I don't like equipment, because it can cheat the system. But if you're pulling the correct ways, it puts more resistance on the speeding up of the hand. So you really have to exert more force to actually pull the hand through instead of the hand being able to push more water, if that makes sense. And at all out, I couldn't go half a 25 with those big paddles on and connecting. Like, that's how much power I was making. My muscles, after that, my heart rate, I swear to God, it was like 160. And I trained, like I get in and I warm up. For every day up until that, I trained and swam every day in practice, AM, PM, at 230 heart rate. I was at 160 and my arms were dead. And I was like, damn, this is how I should have been swimming my entire life. I just didn't, nobody ever taught me. And it was like a real transformational, like it was so crazy. Boom, it just clicked. And yeah, like that was a game changer. And it was like everything that I had learned, like it all came together in that moment. And this was like 2014. I think 2015. Because I came back to Austin in 2014. And this is June of the next year. And yeah, dude, it was, if I had kept swimming, it would have been a wrap. Because I just figured it, and you're going to give me a whole year to master it? I should have kept swimming. I couldn't afford it though. But man, yeah, dude, that was... Yeah, so shout out to Jimmy, shout out to Kristian. You know, you put that with Kristian's finesse, like, God, don't call it a comeback, right? Anyway, guys, make sure that you drop a comment, leave a like. Sorry this video went on for so long, but like I said, like these are my top 5 favorite swimmers. I learned so much from these guys. The honorable mentions, learned so much from them. I honestly, the honorable mentions could have been in the top 9. But to me, they just had things that I didn't have a video on them underwater, like Kristian and Jimmy's pool underwater. I have one video of Jimmy swimming underwater, and it's primarily focused on James Magnuson, and then Jimmy comes in at the end and out touches him, right? Because the race is focused on James and Nathan, Adrian on the other side of James, and Jimmy's on the other side, right? They're in 5 and 3. So I wasn't able to. So those are the kind of the reasons they didn't. But yeah, Jimmy and Kristian, huge learning experiences watching their films. What I had, and then like a special shout out, like I said, to David Marsh and Coach Doug Russell, who beat Matt Biondi. If y'all didn't know, beat Matt Biondi at the first, I think it was the inaugural 100 fly Olympic Games. Yeah. So, like, my experience, I stand on the shoulders of giants, and now you stand on my shoulders. Okay? Join the Technique Solutions. Once again, subscribe, drop a comment, let us know what you think of my top 5, my honorable mentions, my top 9 if you watched the previous video. And, who did you like the most? What did you learn new? Like, let's talk about it, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.